Hello there, welcome to Going to Ground. And today you find me in Hertfordshire, county of my birth, actually, and at the Highley Conference Centre, which you can make out perhaps behind me through the trees there, where I'm spending a few days in conference with my fellow bishops. And I've strode out this lunchtime to speak with you across this vast carpet of almost virgin snow, but for my plodding footsteps and some interesting tracks of one or two fellow creatures who have been here before me. And I don't know if you can see that line of tiny cloven hooves that have worked their way through to the woodland here. I love the landscape after a snowfall. I was driving back from Bristol, where we'd spent the weekend, to Salisbury on Sunday morning through the snow, and although the going was hard and it gets a bit treacherous, and I recognise the downside of snow, there's a large part of me that still exults in it. I feel it's just such a magical, transformational thing, and I love the sunlight on the snow. Look at that faded winter sun and the quality of light. As I was driving back, I was thinking of the sermon I was about to give, and one of the readings for it was an Advent passage in Isaiah 35 that spoke about the coming of the Lord, that looks to the arrival of the Messiah. We think a lot about that in the season of Advent. And like a lot of those passages, it announces a change in the landscape as a sign of God's coming, of the day of the Lord being about to arrive. And it really struck me afresh how the coming of Christ is betokened by a transformed landscape. The wilderness shall break forth into bloom, the dry land shall rejoice. It's not quite those words, but that's the gist of it. And you find this again and again in the Old Testament, that the day of the Lord's intervention in our life on earth is always accompanied by, signified by, a transformed landscape. And for followers of Going to Ground, groundlings as we call ourselves, that's of real interest, because it means that what we hope for spiritually is not separate from what we hope for the whole earth and for human place. Look at that. Sorry, I'm just looking out over this valley, which is at the edge of the parkland here. And this is why in the winter, when you get deep frost or snowfall, you get a little clue, I think. And it's, I think, why I get so excited by frost and snow, because it does what I see being promised for creation, that this kind of transfiguring, the change in appearance. So it's made more glorious. It's changed from glory into glory, and is a sign also of the way that we relate to each other. So as you may have heard me say before, when it snows, we behave differently. Not only does it bring playfulness into our lives and exuberance and beauty, but it also brings neighbourliness. We talk to each other, we dig each other's cars out, we change the way we behave, we talk to people we don't know and share stories about the weather. Snow changes us. And there's something deeply spiritual, communal about this weather that is to be made the most of, to be treasured, I think, because it, like the Isaiah passage, it betokens something. It points somewhere about how we could be as people in the coming kingdom. That may sound eccentric, but I truly believe it, and I loved the fact that passage was set for this Sunday at the very time that the landscape was being transformed by this weather. So whether you've had a light dusting or heavy drifts. God bless you, friends, as you go to ground.